Gilmore Girls set up Rory going to Harvard from its very first episode, when Lorelai had to grovel for a loan from her estranged parents so her daughter could go to Chilton Preparatory School. From then on, it seemed like Harvard was as inevitable as overindulging on coffee or film marathons on the couch. But in Season 3 Episode 17 A Tale of Pose and Fire, Rory made the shocking decision to go to Yale instead. How this decision impacted Rory's future was revealed years later in the Netflix Gilmore Girls sequel, A Year in the Life among other things. So why did Rory choose Yale instead of Harvard? Though Rory's decision is surprising at first, it actually makes perfect sense. Unlike Lorelai, Rory has a nurturing relationship with her grandfather Richard, a Yale alumni himself. He often spends Friday night dinners waxing lyrical about his days as a Yalie, and continues to have great connections to and within his alma mater. Rory not only has a special relationship with Richard, she deeply admires him. Rory going to Yale could well be her way to both impress and honor her grandfather. Rory's choice proves she's not Lorelai. Rory going to Yale also foreshadows her future character development. Up until this point, she and Lorelai have been a close-knit unit existing in the vacuum that is Stars Hollow. But Richard and Emily's influence on Rory is undeniable. While Lorelai rejects their privilege, holding on to her independence as much as she can without jeopardizing Rory's future, which is derailed in A Year in the Life anyway, Rory is much more willing to accept their help and handouts. Sure, Rory does eventually find her way and even cuts rich boyfriend Logan out, but deciding to go to Yale is the first step towards embracing her trust fund kid heritage. It could also be interpreted as an act of rebellion. At the beginning of the show, Rory is the perfect teenager. She never gets into trouble, studies hard, and always makes the right decision. But, in the run-up to her going to Yale, Rory starts to rebel. She chooses Jess over Dean and sticks by him even when he treats her poorly. Lorelai hates Jess and Yale. Though she comes around to both in the end, Rory might be trying to assert her independence by doing the exact opposite of what her mom expects. Like mother, like daughter. Finally, another plausible explanation for Rory choosing Yale over Harvard could be chucked to simple practicality. Harvard's location in Massachusetts would have made it hard for Rory to spend big chunks of time in Stars Hollow in a way that felt plausible. Yale, however, is in Connecticut, just like the fictional village, giving Sherman Palladino plenty of room to explore Rory's experience of college, without being too far from Lorelai, her grandparents, and all the Stars Hollow drama. The Gilmore Girls sequel meant Rory's choice ultimately didn't matter. While many were excited that Gilmore Girls was getting a sequel in the form of A Year in the Life, the ending of the Netflix miniseries fell flat. The miniseries was so bad that it even prompted the theory that Rory wrote the original series and fixed her own flaws. The worst part of A Year in the Life was the ending, which saw Rory pregnant and ultimately sharing the same fate as Lorelai, despite being much older. While Gilmore Girls initially planned the ending to see Rory pregnant, it was luckily scrapped. Sadly though, it was then re-added to A Year in the Life. The sequel miniseries explores little of Rory's time at Yale, making absolutely no mention of it and causing this particular issue to be a moot point. In fact, during the series, Rory is still figuring out how to be a good journalist. Such an important event that affected Rory and Lorelai's relationship in Gilmore Girls so heavily should at least have been mentioned in the sequel. However, audiences heard neither hide nor hair about Rory choosing Yale over Harvard, or how that choice affected her life in the long run.